Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video finishing up with my saga or arc reviews for Dragon Ball Z. I split up the series into 4 arcs basically. We did the Saiyan Saga or the Saiyan arc, then we reviewed the Frieza story arc, and then the Cell story arc. And today we'll be finishing up with the final part of Dragon Ball Z, and that is of the Buu Saga or Buu story arc. Alright, good stuff. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you've checked out the other ones, if you missed them and you want to go ahead and check them out, I'll add all these to a playlist later. But if you type in Dragon Ball Z in the channel, you should find the different ones. Started, of course, the Saiyan story arc. I thought was a really good start to Dragon Ball Z. Really took it to a great level in terms of where the predecessor Dragon Ball was at in terms of the anime. The Frieza arc, incredible. You know, Frieza, a great villain. The Cell story arc, incredible. Cell, and also an amazing villain. Probably my favorite villain out of the big 3, which would be your Frieza, Cell, and Buu. So now we're going to be going over the Buu section of Dragon Ball Z and finishing these up with, of course, you can separate this up if you want to based on original Dragon Ball Z. It separates up like this. You have the Great Saiyaman Saga, the World Tournament Saga, the Babidi Saga, the Majin Buu Saga, the Fusion Saga, and the Kid Buu Saga. So that said, this one has a lot of different parts to it, a lot of different things happening. So we'll get started with, of course, the Great Saiyaman Saga. This one for me, it's not my favorite, that's for sure, out of the entire series. It's a decent change-up, though, because we're so used to the constant battle. It's kind of nice to see that time skip, 7 years, and then to kind of see where all the characters are at. You know, seeing Gohan more grown up is pretty cool. Great Saiyaman, I don't really enjoy what they do with regards to that. It's funny though, and I guess it's a decent little change up. But I would say definitely it's not my favorite saga in the series. So going on from there, not a bad start to the Buu arc. Then we have the World Tournament Saga. Now, the World Tournament Saga for me, I think is really awesome, really exciting, because we have the Cell games, which is kind of like a tournament, but not really. But we hadn't really had this kind of like tournament, which is part of what Dragon Ball is so famous for, is its tournaments. If you guys remember back to the first Dragon Ball, the anime, of course, we had lots of tournaments in the original anime, and Dragon Ball Z, we didn't have many up until now, or I can't even think of, I don't know if I can think of any up until this point throughout Dragon Ball Z. So this was really cool. I really enjoyed the World Tournament, even getting to see Chibi or Kid Trunks and Goten fight it out, getting to see Goku come back to life, really cool. Meet Goten for the first time. There's some really special moments in there, I think, and the World Tournament Saga I do like a lot out of this section of the Buu story arc. I think it's one of the best parts, I would have to say. So, of course, it doesn't last long. We see sort of the birth of Majin Vegeta, which is really exciting. I think that's great to kind of see Vegeta, get twisted back to the dark side again. And again, out of the whole Buu story arc, getting to see Majin Vegeta, the battle with Goku, some of the best stuff in the whole arc, I want to say. The battle between those two, and of course, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, those two right there might be my highlights out of all of Buu. So it's weird that neither of those actually include Buu himself as a villain. Both of those, probably my 2 favorite parts, include Goku and Goku Super Saiyan 3 and Majin Vegeta, and that great battle between the two at Super Saiyan level 2, which is really impressive, really cool stuff. So going on from there with the whole Babidi Saga, I think the Babidi Saga is good. It's a really cool spot in the series where we're kind of getting to know a slew of these new baddies, new characters. We're getting to learn about, Supreme Kai and the Wizard, Babidi, and of course Buu, which I think is cool. Babidi, Buu. In terms of like that magic, that kind of like magic element that Dragon Ball has kind of always had. The Dragon Balls themselves, you could look at them kind of as like magic. You have a lot of different characters from the original Dragon Ball on Earth that would have some different kind of magic abilities, these kinds of things, wizards, stuff like this. It fits in well with the universe. So I think it makes sense going after Frieza and Cell, where you have the android, to see something totally different, which is to see a wizard like Babidi Babidi, and then of course their creation or Bibidi's creation is of course Buu, which is their weapon, so to speak. Their kind of like living magic weapon. It's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to start with. Now here's my main thing about it and why Buu is my least favorite in terms of him as a villain out of Frieza, Cell, and Buu, the main three villains. Vegeta kind of goes from a villain, but he morphs into a really good anti-hero later on. So I don't really count him as the same as the big three in Dragon Ball Z. Buu, for me anyway, he's not that dense of a character to have over 100 episodes on. When you look at this overall arc, it's about 100 episodes almost. It's close to it, which is a lot. That's a lot of episodes. I think it's longer than any of the others. Previously, I haven't compared, but I think it is. It's pretty long in terms of the arc itself. And with that, I don't know if the character Buu himself has enough weight to pull that much out of in terms of story. He's a pretty simplistic kind of character. And I think Toriyama, he tries to kind of add more interest with regards to Buu by having all these different forms, having all these different transformations with him, so that, the absorbing, kind of like, the Fat Buu separating, or regular Majin Buu separating into evil, and then them battling and one absorbing the other, struggling for control, and then, of course, eventually becoming, the different forms of him as he's absorbing characters and different things, and eventually becoming Kid Buu to the end of the series. My favorite form of Buu, I think I'd have to say, is probably Super Buu, because he's very intimidating. He's got that weird neck thing that he does. That weird neck thing is really creepy. You just see this purple chewing gum, bubble gum, like, I don't know, magic, a slug thing, humanoid slug thing, that just does this weird, he's got some weird mannerisms and stuff, and he's so powerful that I think he's pretty intimidating, and he's a lot of fun. Kid Buu, I don't like the idea of as much. It makes sense that he would transform into, kind of like a kid version of Buu, but I don't know. It seems to me like Toriyama stretched this a little too far, a little bit further, or basically, the people that created the anime, that worked on the anime in Japan, may have stretched it into too many episodes. Because granted, of course, Toriyama, he did the original manga, but he didn't, do the anime itself, right? That was done by, Funimation or whoever it is in Japan. So, with regards to Buu as a villain, he's not my favorite of the three. He does have some really cool parts where he's intimidating, where he's goofy, where he's funny, like when he's Fat Buu and stuff. And he has certain things you can relate to. You can kind of like him, like regular Majin Buu, Fat Buu, happy, good Buu. At some points you can kind of like him as a character. He's kind of fun, he's kind of cool, and I like up to there. Where for me this story arc starts to kind of fade, or it isn't as good, is you have, so Great Saiyaman, good, or decent, I would say. World Tournament Saga, great. Babidi Saga, I want to say great, good to great. And then Majin Buu Saga, good. And then the Fusion Saga and the Kid Buu Sagas are the last two. The Fusion Saga for me is, I don't really like. I'm not a big fan of the whole idea of fusion, and I'm not a big fan of when they try to get Trunks and Goten to fuse together to defeat Buu. I don't know. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't really think it makes sense. It's like, okay, I understand the two of them confused, and it's a very powerful technique, and Goku learned it from the underworld and all that kind of stuff, and that's very cool. But I don't know, they are kids, and they've already been kind of built up to be, pretty powerful for kids. So, I don't know. Sometimes, when you look at Dragon Ball Z as a whole, you see a lot of that. You have Kid Gohan who defeats Cell, Gohan also kind of defeats Raditz. So you look at it, he's in there against Vegeta too, and a lot of times that kind of stuff happens. But personally, I'll just basically say this way: I'm not a huge fan of the fusion idea, the fusion concept. The Fusion Saga, I don't really like that much. And then going on to the finale of Kid Buu Saga, the battle goes on for a really long time. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of different forms of Buu, and this character's killed, but then he gets summoned back, and all this back and forth, battling and different stuff that happens. And to be honest with you, it's not my favorite part of Dragon Ball Z, even though they're like uber powerful at that point. Like they're to the point where blowing up a planet is like no big thing. They could probably do it without breaking too much of a sweat, So it should be great because the stakes are higher, the characters are more powerful, and everything is bigger in terms of that. And it was done later on than the other parts. But it's just not my favorite because of the last two sagas in the Buu Arc, the Fusion and the Kid Buu, not my favorites. I think if they were going to do Kid Buu, that's fine, but they probably should have ended with Super Buu because he was the most intimidating and the most fearsome, I think. That said, I do like the finale. I do like the ending of Dragon Ball Z. I really like the whole Oob idea. The whole Oob thing is really great. And definitely Babidi, I think, is a cool character because he's not tough by himself. You even have Piccolo stomp him like he's nothing, as well as anybody else basically could. Like Kid Trunks could probably, in a one-on-one fight, if he could land on him without getting some kind of spell cast on him or something, would smash him. And I think that's interesting. You could have a character that, because he's got these magical abilities, he's able to cause so much damage and he's so dangerous, but he himself is not powerful. You don't see that a lot in Dragon Ball Z. So in terms of a score, I'm going to give the Buu Arc overall I guess I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10, which I think is the lowest I've given to any of them so far. 7.5 out of 10. It starts off strong. It's strong in the middle, really good in the middle, and it just kind of, I don't know, it kind of goes on too long. It kind of doesn't, it doesn't finish when it should. I think that they dragged out that character, that villain of Buu, too long, and he's too simplistic to be dragged out that long, and it just kind of becomes boring after a little while to see the back and forth all the time, with characters dying, and you got Gohan, he becomes Mystic, Hidden Power Unleashed, and all this different stuff, and back and forth against Buu, when he himself is not that interesting. He's not as interesting as Cell or Frieza, I want to say, and what they do, and who they are, and the way they think, and the way they communicate. I mean, Buu doesn't even barely, what does he even barely say or anything, very little, so all the way through. So those are kind of my thoughts on the Buu Arc. Let me know what you guys think about it. I have heard people before say it's their favorite one, and they enjoy Buu. He's their favorite villain, and they like it better than Cell or Frieza, and that's totally cool. If that's what you think, then that's what you think. It's your opinion. Whatever's your favorite's your favorite. That's cool. So let me know what you guys thought about these kind of arc by arc reviews of Dragon Ball Z. I've also, of course, done a review of the overall series. I was reviewing Dragon Ball Kai, which was in the the start of the Buu Saga, near the end of the World Tournament Saga. They are getting close to it. And I may continue with those if you guys want to see it. So let me know what you guys think. I want to hear your comments on this one, weigh in on this one. And if you like the video, please thumb it up below, like it if you want to help support the channel. Check me out on Twitter. You can see the links in the channel, as well as you could just search me on Twitter. It's TrevChan2, you'll find me. Or share the video on Facebook or whatever you use, or Twitter. So that's pretty much it for this one. See you for the next one, guys. This is Trev, as always, saying peace.